The Las Vegas Aces, a team that had several number one picks, a team that brought in a NBA experienced coach and transitioned the team and the league into what we now know as the super team era. You had top talent, you had positionless basketball, and you had a team that no one could really beat. In 2022, when the Aces won their first championship, they only lost 10 games in the regular season. In 2023, when they won again the WNBA championship, they only lost 6 games that entire regular season. But as a new system is explored in the WNBA, teams will figure out a way to beat it. And the team that introduced this new style of basketball just got by their own system. Let's talk about it. Quita loves sports. It is in the name. What is up, awesome people of the internet, guys? What a fantastic WNBA playoffs that we are experiencing. Yesterday, we saw the Las Vegas Aces face off against the New York Liberty, and ultimately, the Las Vegas Aces got and lost 76 New York, 62 for Las Vegas. Now let's dive into this game and let's talk about it, because leading up to this game, first 2 games, the Liberty pretty much just handed it to the Las Vegas Aces. We go into game 3. The game was at home for Las Vegas, and they really were trying not to get swept, right? We saw Becky Hammon challenge her team and talk about the fact that they just didn't have an edge.
Well, quite frankly, we haven't had the edge all year. We found it the last month. I feel like we've gained a lot of ground, but the feel was different from the jump. And this is why three-peating is hard. Let's be real. Like, the whole league has been pissed off for the last 8 months, and my players are in commercials and this and that and being freaking celebrities, and you get distracted.
And she was saying, hey, they're busy being celebrities and whatnot. She was trying to motivate her team, and she did. She motivated her team to show up and show out. They had fantastic defense in game 3, really did lock down Sabrina Ionescu. And then we go into a game where it's like, okay, all right, the Las Vegas Aces are kind of back at it. They're showing their defense. They're not allowing the New York Liberty to get easy layups and easy shots. So they win game 3. And you're like, okay, well, what does game 4 have to offer? Because the New York Liberty, they are a really good team, and they have a really good coach that will adjust. So they saw what the Las Vegas Aces did against them defensively in game 3, and Sandy Brandella had a solution for it. Her solution to the Aces swarming Sabrina Ionescu, it was to get the ball out of Sabrina's hands and give the ball to Breanna Stewart and have her initiate offense. And that's what we saw in the first half, specifically in the first quarter. We saw several instances where Breanna Stewart was bringing up the basketball, was initiating play, and we saw Sabrina Ionescu play off ball.
It felt like there was an early emphasis for Breanna Stewart initiating as a pick and roll ball handler, and beyond that, also kind of clearing those wings and opening up that space for her. What kind of popped on the film for you in game 3 that led to that decision?
Well, I mean, we've been continuing to develop Stewie as a handler, and we just they didn't want to switch any kind of pick and roll, so why not use her in the pick and roll action? I thought it was very effective for us. Stewie does so many great things for us, and she was massive for us. We had to make a guard plumb tonight. I thought she did an excellent job chasing all the guards around. She loved it, didn't you?
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, loved it. But yeah, she's just a high energy, highly skilled. So let's just use all her skills.
I thought maybe there was a chance that Courtney Vandersloot would start to get Sabrina off ball, but they kept their normal starting lineup with Fiebich, Sabrina, Stewie, Jonquel Jones, and Betnijah Laney Hamilton for the New York Liberty. And instead of Sabrina always playing PG, we saw Breanna Stewart initiate offense. We saw some really good looks at a shot for Sabrina Ionescu early in that first quarter. She was draining some threes, and she was making some stuff happen. Ultimately, when you get Sabrina going early, it sort of opens up the game for everybody else. We saw Breanna Stewart getting in the action as well, getting a three-pointer off and getting some tough shots mid-range and in the paint. When we look at this New York Liberty team, they are a complete squad, right? If you have a situation where Sabrina is able to go off, it opens it up for everybody else. So Sabrina goes off, 22 points in this game, 7 rebounds. We see Breanna Stewart not have the most efficient game. She was not efficient, but she did get a double-double. She did score points on the board. She had 19 points for her team, had 14 rebounds, 5 assists. And everybody else sort of played their role. We saw Jonquel Jones once again get in foul trouble. She almost fouled out of the game, finishing with 5 fouls. One of the things that I thought was a bit silly was the fact that we saw both Jonquel Jones and Leonie Fiebich come into the third quarter with 3 fouls each. They played to start the third quarter, and I was like, right, watch. They're gonna get their fouls real quick. They're gonna get that 4th foul real quick, and they did. And they both went to the bench. But the thing about the New York Liberty is that they were able to manage without Jonquel Jones. Now, the reason why is we about to get into the Aces and how they really flubbed the third quarter. But Jonquel Jones is probably the best player to defend A'ja Wilson. The best player for the New York Liberty, right? When she's on the court, yes, A'ja can still do A'ja things, but it's a lot harder for her versus everybody else. Jonquel Jones ultimately only played 28 minutes in this game. Normally, that would be a little bit concerning, especially going against the Aces, but the Liberty were able to have active hands on defense, swarm a little bit. They were lucked out by the lack of shooting for the Las Vegas Aces. Ultimately, Jonquel Jones finished the game with 14 points, 6 rebounds. She loves to get that double-double. She was not at that double-double yesterday, and luckily for the New York Liberty, they were not fazed by it. They were not fazed by it because everybody else stepped up. We saw Leonie Fiebich once again continue to show us that she is a really, really good player, guys. To think Chicago had the rights to Leonie Fiebich, and we gave it away via a trade that got us Marina Mabrey from Dallas. And to think what could have happened if the Chicago Sky actually took interest in Leonie Fiebich and had her play for us instead of trading the rights away for her. It's crazy. Anyway, Leonie Fiebich had 11 points. She had a big 3-pointer in the game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Guys, she is a tall guard, and she always is showing up and showing out for her team and really making some noise and really being a sort of cheat code for the New York Liberty, especially on the defensive end. For the Liberty, the thing that I loved the most was how we saw Kennedy Burke and Kayla Thornton show up and show out. Did they score? No, they did not. No, they did not score at all. But there were times on the court where we saw Jonquel Jones on the bench. And everybody, they knew that Jonquel was in foul trouble. And what did they do? Everybody just stayed on their man on defense. They stayed home. They helped when they needed to. And they just kind of scrambled. So, yes, they don't score any points. However, I do think they play good defense, and I do think they ultimately really do help this team get the dub. Now, I also want to give a huge shout-out to Courtney Vandersloot. Courtney Vandersloot is a player who has had to go to a new role, right? For the first time in forever, she's really coming off the bench when she's fully healthy, right? That's something that Courtney Vandersloot usually doesn't do. But since the playoffs have started, Sandy Brondello has had Courtney Vandersloot come off the bench and have Leonie Fiebich start, which is a smart idea on a defensive front for the Liberty. And Courtney Vandersloot has embraced that role, and she has absolutely made a big impact coming off the bench. She had 8 points in yesterday's game, 3 assists. She's a player who knows how to call her own number when she needs to. And she knows how to get to the basket. Like, she knows how to get to the basket when she needs to. And, she's not a fast player, but she could turn on the jets every now and then and blow by and get a nice layup. But anyway, I thought she played really good. Liberty, they don't have the best game in the world. However, They are efficient with their opportunities. They do hit the 3-point shot. They shot 41% yesterday, which is really nice. They also absolutely dominated the rebounding. 48 rebounds for the New York Liberty. 48 rebounds total for the game. And how many rebounds did the Las Vegas Aces have? They had 27. Yeah, 27. Huge discrepancy. Huge discrepancy. And also, ultimately, we see the result that we got.
That this was a tough series, an emotional series for, a number of different reasons, but we're going to the finals.
The job isn't done yet, but I'm just curious, having to face Vegas 2 years in a row, finally getting past them this time, did it feel at all like you were getting over any kind of hurdle?
No, I mean, no hurdle besides just getting back to the finals. For us, I think we've talked about every year, it's New York versus New York. It's not, us versus anybody else. We want to go out there and be the best that we can be no matter what team it is. And I think we were able to do that this series. It was really nice to see how we just stuck together. Obviously, we had a kind of rough game last game, and it can go one of two ways. You can come back out and kind of put your head down and not be the best and rely on going back to game 5, but we came out here and understood we wanted to be our best and get this done because we deserve that. We've played like that all year, and so for us it was just continuing to focus on ourselves, being the best that we can offensively and defensively, and in turn that leads to a great win for us.
All right, so that was the New York Liberty. They ultimately did win the game, again, 76-62. But let me talk about the Aces and their issues, because this game was absolutely winnable for the Aces, and they completely flubbed it. So guys, the first half, pretty neck and neck. Pretty neck and neck. Yes, the New York Liberty did have the lead to go into the third quarter. However, it was very, very manageable, and I felt that the momentum was pretty even, right? The New York Liberty were winning 41-38 going into the third quarter, and we saw this Las Vegas Aces team kind of trying to get in it. They're trying to get in the game and trying to stay in the game. And the third quarter, to me, was a gift for the Las Vegas Aces that they absolutely flubbed. So, third quarter, as I said earlier, Jonquel Jones ends up getting her fourth foul in that third quarter, right? She ends up going to the bench. At 7 minutes and 23 seconds into the game, all right? Kennedy Burke comes in for her. This was a golden opportunity for the Las Vegas Aces to say, you know what? Jonquel's out of the game. What do? We give it to A'ja Wilson in the paint and have her make stuff happen. But did this team really take advantage of that? No, they did not, right? We did see A'ja Wilson. She did score in the paint in the third quarter, but it was only a layup that she had, one. She ended up getting fouled again. So that's something. But what we saw in the third quarter for the Aces were jump shot, 3-point shot. We saw the guards trying to make stuff happen, and the guards really trying to do it on their own. Yes, A'ja Wilson did get the basketball in the third quarter, but she would pass it right back out, and then she wouldn't see it again. We would see the guards try to get to the paint and miss a shot. Like, it was just dumb decision after dumb decision. It felt like the strategy was to get the guards going in the third quarter for the Aces, which to me was dumb. You had a golden opportunity of the best defender on the Liberty, the best post defender on the bench, and you did not take advantage of it at all. And to me, that was the end of the game. In that third quarter, when the Las Vegas Aces only scored 13 points. They scored 13 points with Jonquel Jones on the bench. The reason why, because they were shooting stupid shots. They were making dumb decisions. They weren't giving it to their MVP and having her carry the team. And to me, I didn't think it was smart. I did not think it was a smart idea. And not only that, not only did you fail to score in the third quarter, you completely roll over in the fourth quarter, right? So the Liberty also failed to score in the third quarter. Like, it wasn't like the Liberty went off in the third quarter. They didn't, right? The Liberty only scored 12 points in that third quarter. The Aces scored 13. So still, going into the fourth quarter, it's neck and neck. It is absolutely neck and neck of a game. 53 New York, 51 Las Vegas. So close. All right, it's a close game. Both teams put in their the teams put in their starters, and it was like, okay, let's work. And then what do we see? Clank, missed shot by the Aces. Clank, missed shot by the Aces. Score. We saw a there was an instance. It was early in that fourth quarter where Chelsea Gray misses a 3-point shot. Sabrina gets the rebound, pushes, gets the ball to Leonie Fiebich. Leonie Fiebich, fantastic pass to Sabrina Ionescu for the quick transition layup, gets it to go. And then we see on the other end, right after that play was over, Tiffany Hayes gets the basketball, tries to go in for a layup. All of a sudden, Courtney Vandersloot, one of the shortest players on the court, gets up, blocks the shot. Breanna Stewart has the basketball. She pushes it down the court. Leonie Fiebich gets it, layup.
Hayes has it taken away by Vandersloot. New York with numbers. Stewart the dive and Fiebich the lay.
It wasn't that same defensive intensity. So again, after two straight fumbles on the offensive end and two straight layups by the New York Liberty, Becky Hammon calls a timeout. And so I'm like, okay, Becky Hammon's calling a timeout. It's a 6-point lead by the Liberty. Becky's gonna work this thing out, right? They're gonna talk about it. She's gonna get up in their grill, challenge them, and they about to show up and they're gonna try to come back in this game. Did that happen? No, that did not happen. That did not happen at all. Kelsey Plum misses the next shot off of the timeout. Instead of getting the ball down low to Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum misses a shot, and then we just could have gone on from there. And we do see some more scoring for the Aces throughout the rest of the game, but it just wasn't enough. It was just missed shot after missed shot, and you just weren't making anything happen. You weren't. Yes, Kelsey Plum did get some shots in the fourth quarter. Yes, Asia Wilson did score as well. Tiffany Hayes, same thing. But it just, for the most part, it was clank, clank, clank. No real offensive rebounds. No real defensive stops. It was basically that the Liberty seemed to get a lot of the stuff that they wanted. 23 points in the fourth quarter for the Liberty. 23 points. Aces, only 11. That's the ball game right there. The Aces the game was within reach the entire first three quarters. The Aces should have put this team away in the fourth quarter, or in the third quarter, when both Leonie Fiebich, the tall guard for the Liberty, and Jonquel Jones, aka the only player that can really stop Asia Wilson, they were both on the bench for significant minutes in the third quarter. The Aces do not take advantage, and ultimately they do get got in the fourth quarter. It's one of those things where it sort of is what it is. I expected the Aces to lose in that game yesterday, and they ultimately did lose. We saw Kelsey Plum with 17 points in yesterday's game. We saw Asia Wilson at 19 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks. So she did have a block party a little bit yesterday. So that was cool to see. But ultimately, it just wasn't enough. Ultimately, it just wasn't enough. Alicia Clark, only 2 points. They needed more from her. Chelsea Gray, 7 points, 6 rebounds. Not that impactful of a game for Chelsea Gray. Yes, she did get some good passes in, but it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. And Jackie Young, she struggled the entire game. She shot 1 of 10. 1 of 10, guys. The only shot that she made was a 3-pointer. That's the only field goal she made. And it was similar to Sabrina Ionescu's game in Game 3. Sabrina Ionescu couldn't really hit nothing in Game 3. Ended up with 4 points. Game 4, Jackie Young couldn't hit nothing. Ended up with 4 points. And it wasn't like yes, the Liberty played some really good defense, but it wasn't even that their defense was that great. It was just that Las Vegas was missing shots. Like, the Liberty did not play lockdown defense. They played good defense, but they did not play lockdown defense at all. It was just that the Aces, their guards were just missing. They were just missing shots left and right. They shot 23% from the three-point line yesterday. 23% for the Aces, 32% overall for their field goals, 72% from the free throw line. The team just struggled. They just struggled. They could not shoot, and they just didn't have it. It was very clear that, yes, this is a team that won 2 championships in a row. Yes, they do have the this year's MVP and whatnot, but they just didn't have enough. And it's clear that there has to be some serious changes to the lineup, and that's something that Becky Hammon actually hinted at in the postgame presser. This is a team that needs to make some changes, right? They revolutionized the way that that the WNBA played. They really did. They started this whole positionless basketball sort of super team type of deal. And the other teams in the WNBA have kind of caught up. This sort of extremely fast-paced type of basketball, the Aces kind of started that. They brought it back, right, to the WNBA with the addition of Becky Hammon becoming the head coach. They had a lot of the pieces, but like it was her it kind of changed a lot. It kind of changed a lot for the league, and we saw last year the New York Liberty in the offseason, they responded and they built a super team of their own. And ultimately that super team did not have enough chemistry, and they ultimately lost in the finals to the Aces. This year, the New York Liberty, they stayed constant. Yes, they add Leonie Fiebich, but for the most part, they add Leonie Fiebich and Kennedy Burke, but for the most part, their roster is largely the same as it was last year. But this team had a lot more experience together. They had a lot more camaraderie, and they were able to gel more. And that gelling has really led to where they are right now. It really has led to where they are right now, winning against the Las Vegas Aces in the semifinals. Again, the series is over. The New York Liberty win 76 to the Las Vegas Aces 62. And this team, they wanted to win real bad. They really did. They wanted to win real bad. And they remember the stuff that was said in the last from the Aces when they beat the New York Liberty in the finals. They remember all that stuff that was said at the parade and all that stuff, and they have it in their minds. And y'all, they definitely had that front and center as they were playing yesterday's game. But again, the New York Liberty do win. I ultimately do think they're going to win the WNBA Finals, regardless of who they play against. We will be going into a Game 5 between Connecticut and Minnesota, so we will not know until the end of Tuesday who the New York Liberty will be playing. But I, for one, am excited to watch the WNBA Finals. What about you? Let me know in the chat. Let me know what y'all thought about this game. Did y'all think that the Aces, do you think their time is up and that they're going to make some severe changes to the starting lineup? I think they will. I think they have to. This core four, they need a fifth player that they can critically rely on in the post. They need to make some changes to their bench because clearly Becky Hammon does not trust the bench to actually get minutes and actually play. So I think we're going to see some pretty dramatic changes in the offseason. That's something that Becky Hammon has hinted towards. So what do y'all think in the comments below? Let me know y'all thoughts. And until next time, guys, goodbye.
What do you say to your team when you're down more than 10 points and you call that full timeout? Just what's the message to them to kind of close the game out?
The one that was around 7 minutes or later in the fourth?
There was only a minute left and you called a full timeout, that one.
I mean, I called one at 7 or around there because I felt like we were panicking a little bit, and 7 minutes was more than enough time. The last one, I mean, you're just grasping for straws. So at the end of the day, we didn't have it shooting-wise. I thought we had good looks. We missed. And the layup thing started happening again in the fourth quarter. So, but you look at this sheet, you can't win against a team like that shooting 32%, 23 from three, and then get absolutely your asses handed to you on the glass. So, kudos to them. They've been the best team all year. Let's be real. We needed back-to-back really great games because their sense of urgency was going to be different. So I think their group earned it. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a lot of hard learning lessons. I mean, it hurts now. I promise you, it's gonna hurt tomorrow, probably worse because it sets in the next day. But you got to build habits and you got to work in a way that you believe you deserve to win. That you believe you deserve to win. And, at the end of the day, I thought, our shortcomings stood out a little bit. And we have some great things to build on. You don't have it every year. It's not the way this works. You don't get to flip a switch. It's the beautiful thing about sports, actually. The work and the commitment and the buy-in and the play hard and the want to and the will always show up in the end. And like I said, New York's had really great will and determination this whole year. We talked a lot of smack last year. I'm sure they heard it, and they got to smack us this year. So for us, we will have a long off season. And for us, we will be back next year. And I'm sure the focus level will be very different. I can pretty much guarantee that.